Latino students in terms of higher education outcomes and those that are accessing higher ed in California, 39% transfer from community colleges in 6 years, 45% graduate from CSUs in 6 years, and 46% is the 4-year graduation rate from the University of California system for Latino students. Less than 40% of Latinx students transfer from the community college sector in 6 years. And I should also note the average time to degree for Latinx students nationally, because this is part of the work I've done with ETS and the College Board. Particularly the College Board had a Latino college completion agenda in 2010, 2011, and I led a national panel of senior scholars to examine college completion. And what we discovered was at that time, and it's still actually relatively true, that the college completion rate for Latinos was 9 years. And when I tell students the average college completion rate, particularly those that start in community colleges, is 9 years, what do you think of? You all look pretty young. 9 years, a whole lot of life happens, right, in 9 years. And so this is the challenge for higher ed administrators, but also for the K-12 sector in terms of preparation, in terms of equity, and in terms of ensuring that our students are not only accessing higher ed, but they're also fulfilling their dreams and their passions in pursuing higher education and beyond. So I wanted to share with you some of the challenges Latinx students face in higher education based on my own research in these multiple state contexts. Just to give you an idea, it's not completely comprehensive, but it's based on, a number of different studies of well over 150 students that I've interviewed or have surveyed over time. So family and background. Most Latinx students are first generation. The families don't possess an understanding of college. For many Latinos, when you're interviewing them or surveying them, the perception is college, right? Why can't you go up the street? College is college. And so there's a lack of real understanding in terms of, and this is the potential for education, that there are elite colleges, right, like the halls of Harvard, and there are colleges where you're going to experience that 9-year graduation rate. And so it's really, giving families the tools to make the choice that's best for the student. Because, and I note this in my work, that when a Latinx student goes to college, the whole family goes to college, right? We take our families with us. We take our history, our experience, our passion for equity. I myself am the daughter of a Teamster. My dad's watching. And he was a labor union organizer and shop steward within the labor sector in Southern California. And my entire family went with me to Berkeley. Literally, went with me to Berkeley, and then followed me off to Harvard in spirit. And so, in fact, the running joke was my mom, anytime I come to the East Coast, please buy your father a new Harvard Dad sweatshirt, because that sweatshirt the sweatshirt has had its day. And so one of the first things I did, but one of the first things I did was go to the Coop and pay an homage to my father to get him his sweatshirt. Because we really do take the hopes and dreams of the previous generation with us to these elite halls of higher education. As I noted, the 4-year college completion rate is lower than their peers. Latinx students more likely to attend low-resource schools. There's high financial need, so this is the financial aspect. The majority of Latinx students work 30 hours or more per week, 30 hours or more. The literature suggests that if you're working 20 hours or more, there's a detrimental impact on your academic performance, and this is the work of Laura Perna, a number of our scholars, Scott Thomas, and others. Let me come back. The student development opportunities. And the other points I wanted to mention is many Latinx students assist their families, and then Latino parents don't possess disposable income. This was particularly true in the Great Recession, right, in the previous recession, where we saw a diminished economic portfolio, right? This was true for Latinos and African Americans because wealth for Latinos, for immigrant communities, but also true for working class African Americans and communities of color, their wealth is intertwined with home ownership. And so the recession had a tremendous impact on the wealth of these communities that is really reliant on home ownership when a whole community lost homes. And so they don't possess disposable income to pay for these extras like tuition. Student developmental opportunities are rare for students of color, and that's intertwined with a limited access to faculty of color and faculty mentors. There's limited access to research opportunities, and as I noted, diverse mentors, limited access to campus positions, meaningful summer employment, and then financial support for studying abroad. So student development opportunities, we know, has a high predictive validity for students that are going to go on to graduate school and students that are going to thrive in the undergraduate context. For example, if you've been part of McNair or you've been part of Meyerhoff or the Posse program, all of these intervention programs, I've studied several intervention programs over the course of my career.